2015 International Building Code, IBC. Chapter 2 Definitions. allthingsinspector.com. 24-hour basis. The actual time that a person is an occupant within a facility for the purpose of receiving care. It shall not include a facility that is open for 24 hours and is capable of providing care to someone visiting the facility during any segment of 24 hours. Accessible. A site, building, facility, or portion thereof that complies with Chapter 11. Accessible means of egress. A continuous and unobstructed way of egress travel from any accessible point in a building or facility to a public way. Aisle. An unenclosed exit access component that defines and provides a path of egress travel. Aisle accessway. That portion of an exit access that leads to an aisle. Alarm signal. A signal indicating an emergency, requiring immediate action, such as a signal indicative of fire. Alarm verification feature. A feature of automatic fire detection and alarm systems to reduce unwanted alarms, wherein smoke detectors report alarm conditions for a minimum period of time, or confirm alarm conditions within a given period after being automatically reset in order to be accepted as a valid alarm initiation signal. Ambulatory care facility. Buildings or portions thereof used to provide medical, surgical, psychiatric, nursing, or similar care on a less than 24-hour basis to persons who are rendered incapable of self-preservation by the services provided. Annular space. The opening around the penetrating item. Approved. Acceptable to the building official. Area. Building. The area included within surrounding exterior walls or exterior walls and firewalls, exclusive of vent shafts and courts. Areas of the building not provided with surrounding walls shall be included in the building area, if such areas are included within the horizontal projection of the roof floor above. Area of refuge. An area where persons unable to use stairways can remain temporarily to await instructions or assistance during emergency evacuation. Automatic smoke detection system. A fire alarm system that has initiation devices that utilize smoke detectors for protection of an area such as a room or space with detectors to provide early warning of fire. Automatic sprinkler system. An automatic sprinkler system for fire protection purposes is an integrated system of underground or overhead piping designed in accordance with fire protection engineering standards. This system includes a suitable water supply. The portion of the system above the ground is a network of specially sized or hydraulically designed piping installed in a structure or area, generally overhead, and to which automatic sprinklers are connected on a systematic pattern. The system is usually activated by heat from a fire and discharges water over the fire area. Base flood. The flood having a 1% chance of being equaled or exceeded in any given year. Basement. A story that is not a story above grade plane. See story above grade plane. The definition of basement does not apply to the provisions of Section 1612 for flood loads. Boarding house. A building arranged or used for lodging for compensation, with or without meals, and not occupied as a single-family unit. Breakout. For revolving doors, a process whereby wings or door panels can be pushed open manually for means of egress travel. Building. Any structure used or intended for supporting or sheltering any use or occupancy. Building element. A fundamental component of building construction listed in Table 601, which may or may not be of fire resistance rated construction and is constructed of materials based on the building type and construction. Building official. The officer or other designated authority charged with the administration and enforcement of this code or duly authorized representative. Care Suite. In Group 1 to 2 occupancies, a group of treatment rooms, care recipient sleepment rooms, and the support rooms or spaces and circulation space within the suite where staff are in attendance for supervision of all care recipients within the suite, and the suite is in compliance with the requirements of Section 407.4.4. Chimney, a primarily vertical structure containing one or more flues for the purpose of carrying gaseous products of combustion and air from a fuel-burning appliance to the outdoor atmosphere. Factory-built chimney, a listed and labeled chimney composed of factory-made components, assembled in the field in accordance with manufacturer's instructions and conditions of the listing. Masonry chimney, a field-constructed chimney composed of solid masonry units, bricks, stones, or concrete. Metal chimney, a field-constructed chimney of metal. Climate zone, a geographical region that has been assigned climatic criteria as specified in Chapters 3CE and 3RE of the International Energy Conservation Code. Clinic, outpatient, buildings or portions thereof used to provide medical care on less than a 24-hour basis to persons who are not rendered incapable of self-preservation by the services provided. Combination fire smoke damper, a listed device installed in ducts and air transfer openings designed to close automatically upon the detection of heat and resist the passage of flame and smoke. The device is installed to operate automatically, controlled by a smoke detection system, and where required is capable of being positioned from a fire command center. Common use, interior or exterior circulation paths, rooms, spaces, or elements that are not for public use and are made available for the shared use of 2 or more people. Conventional light frame construction, a type of construction whose primary structural elements are formed by a system of repetitive wood framing members. See Section 2308 for conventional light frame construction provisions. Corridor, an enclosed exit access component that defines and provides a path of egress travel. Court, an open, uncovered space, unobstructed to the sky, bounded on 3 or more sides by exterior building walls or other enclosing devices. Covered mall buildings, a single building enclosing a number of tenants and occupants, such as retail stores, drinking and dining establishments, entertainment and amusement facilities, passenger transportation terminals, offices, and other similar uses, wherein 2 or more tenants have a main entrance into 1 or more malls. Anchor buildings shall not be considered as part of the covered mall building. The term covered mall building shall include open mall buildings as defined below. Mall, a roofed or covered common pedestrian area within a covered mall building that serves as access for 2 or more tenants and not to exceed 3 levels that are open to each other. The term mall shall include open malls as defined below. Open mall, an unroofed common pedestrian way serving a number of tenants not exceeding 3 levels. Circulation at levels above grade shall be permitted to include open exterior balconies leading to exits discharging at grade. Open mall building, several structures housing a number of tenants, such as retail stores, drinking and dining establishments, entertainment and amusement facilities, offices, and other similar uses, wherein 2 or more tenants have a main entrance into 1 or more open malls. Anchor buildings are not considered as part of the open mall building. Cross-laminated timber, a prefabricated engineered wood product consisting of not less than 3 layers of solid sawn lumber, or structural composite lumber where the adjacent layers are cross-oriented and bonded with structural adhesive to form a solid wood element. Custodial care, assistance with day-to-day living tasks, such as assistance with cooking, taking medication, bathing, using toilet facilities, and other tasks of daily living. Custodial care includes persons receiving care who have the ability to respond to emergency situations and evacuate at a slower rate, and/or who have mental and psychiatric complications. Deflagration, An exothermic reaction, such as the extremely rapid oxidation of a flammable dust or vapor in air, in which the reaction progresses through the unburned material at a rate less than the velocity of sound. A deflagration can have an explosive effect. Detectable warning. A standardized surface feature built in or applied to walking surfaces or other elements to warn visually impaired persons of hazards on a circulation path. Detector, heat. A heat detector that senses heat, either abnormally high temperature or rate of rise, or both. Detonation. An exothermic reaction characterized by the presence of a shock wave in the material which establishes and maintains the reaction. The reaction zone progresses through the material at a rate greater than the velocity of sound. The principal heating mechanism is one of shock compression. Detonations have an explosive effect. Draft stop. A material, device, or construction installed to restrict the movement of air within open spaces of concealed areas of building components, such as crawl spaces, floor, ceiling assemblies, roof, ceiling assemblies, and attics. Dwelling. A building that contains one or two dwelling units used, intended or designed to be used, rented, leased, let, or hired out to the occupied for living purposes. Dwelling unit. A single unit providing complete, independent living facilities for one or more persons, including permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. Emergency escape and rescue opening. An operable window, door, or other similar device that provides for a means of escape and access for rescue in the event of an emergency. Exit. That portion of a means of egress system between the exit access and the exit discharge or public way. Exit components include exterior exit doors at the level of exit discharge, interior exit stairways and ramps, exit passageways, exterior exit stairways and ramps, and horizontal exits. Exit access. That portion of a means of egress system that leads from any occupied portion of a building or structure to an exit. Exit discharge. That portion of a means of egress system between the termination of an exit and a public way. Exterior wall. A wall, bearing or non-bearing, that is used as an enclosing wall for a building, other than a firewall, and that has a slope of 60 degrees, 1.05 rad, or greater with the horizontal plane. F-rating. The time period that the through-penetration fire stop system limits the spread of fire through the penetration when tested in accordance with ASTM E814 or UL 1479. Fire area. The aggregate floor area enclosed and bounded by fire walls, fire barriers, exterior walls, or horizontal assemblies of a building. Areas of the building not provided with surrounding walls shall be included in the fire area, if such areas are included within the horizontal projection of the roof or floor next above. Fire barrier. A fire resistance rated wall assembly of materials designed to restrict the spread of fire in which continuity is maintained. Fire damper. A listed device installed in ducts and air transfer openings, designed to close automatically upon detection of heat and resist the passage of flame. Fire dampers are classified for use in either static systems that will automatically shut down in the event of a fire, or in dynamic systems that continue to operate during a fire. A dynamic fire damper is tested and rated for closure under elevated temperature airflow. Fire detector, automatic. A device designed to detect the presence of a fire signature and to initiate action. Fire door. The door component of a fire door assembly. Fire door assembly. Any combination of a fire door, frame, hardware, or other accessories that together provide a specific degree of fire protection to the opening. Fire exit hardware. Panic hardware that is listed for use on fire door assemblies. Fire partition. A vertical assembly of materials designed to restrict the spread of fire in which openings are protected. Fire protection rating. The period of time that an opening protective will maintain the ability to confine a fire as determined by tests specified in Section 715. Ratings are stated in hours or minutes. Fire protection system. Approved devices, equipment and systems, or combinations of systems used to detect a fire, activate an alarm, extinguish or control a fire, control or manage smoke and products of a fire or any combination thereof. Fire resistance. That property of materials or their assemblies that prevents or retards the passage of excessive heat, hot gases, or flames under condition of use. Fire-resistant joint system. An assemblage of specific materials or products that are designed, tested, and fire resistance rated in accordance with either ASTM E1966 or UL 2079 to resist for a prescribed period of time the passage of fire through joints made in or between fire resistance rated assemblies. Fire separation distance. The distance measured from the building face to one of the following. 1. The closest interior lot line. 2. To the center line of a street, an alley, or public way. 3. To an imaginary line between two buildings on the lot. The distance shall be measured at right angles from the face of the wall. Firewall. A fire resistance rated wall having protected openings, which restricts the spread of fire and extends continuously from the foundation to or through the roof, with sufficient structural stability under fire conditions to allow collapse of construction on either side without collapse of the wall. Fire blocking. Building materials or materials approved for use as fire blocking, installed to resist the free passage of flame to other areas of the building through concealed spaces. Fireplace. A hearth or fire chamber or similar prepared place in which a fire may be made and which is built in conjunction with a chimney. Flame spread. The propagation of flame over a surface. Flame spread index. A comparative measure expressed as a dimensionless number derived from visual measurements of the spread of flame versus time for a material tested in accordance with ASTM E84 or UL 723. Flight. A continuous run of rectangular treads, winders, or combination thereof from one landing to another. Floor area, gross. The floor area within the inside perimeter of the exterior walls of the building under consideration, exclusive of vent shafts and courts, without deduction for corridors, stairways, ramps, closets, the thickness of interior walls, columns, or other features. The floor area of a building, or portion thereof, not provided with surrounding exterior walls, shall be the usable area under the horizontal projection of the roof or floor above. The gross floor area shall not include shafts with no openings or interior courts. Grade plane. A reference plane representing the average of finished ground level adjoining the building at exterior walls. Where the finished ground level slopes away from the exterior walls, the reference plane shall be established by the lowest points within the area between the building lot and the lot line, or where the lot line is more than 6 feet, 1,829 millimeters from the building, between the building and a point 6 feet, 1,829 millimeters from the building. Group home. A facility for social rehabilitation, substance abuse, or mental health problems that contains a group housing arrangement that provides custodial care but does not provide medical care. Guard. A building component or a system of building components located at or near the open sides of elevated walking surfaces that minimizes the possibility of a fall from the walking surface to a lower level. Habitable space. A space in a building for living, sleeping, eating, or cooking. Bathrooms, toilet rooms, closets, halls, storage or utility spaces, and similar areas are not considered habitable spaces. Handrail. A horizontal or sloping rail intended for grasping by the hand for guidance or support. Height, building. The vertical distance from grade plane to the average height of the highest roof surface. High-rise building. A building with an occupied floor located more than 75 feet, 22,860 millimeters above the lowest level of fire department vehicle access. Horizontal assembly, a fire resistance rated floor or roof assembly of materials designed to restrict the spread of fire in which continuity is maintained. Horizontal exit, an exit component consisting of fire resistance rated construction and opening protectives intended to compartmentalize portions of a building, thereby creating refuge areas that afford safety from the fire and smoke from the area of fire origin. Housing unit, a dormitory or a group of cells within a common day room in group I3. Initiating device, a system component that originates transmission of a change of state condition, such as in a smoke detector, manual fire alarm box, or supervisory switch. Interior exit ramp, an exit component that serves to meet one or more means of egress design requirements, such as required numbers of exits, or exit access travel distance, and provides for a protective path of egress travel to the exit discharge or public way. Interior exit stairway, an exit component that serves to meet one or more means of egress design requirements, such as required number of exits or exit access travel distance, and provides for a protected path of egress travel to the exit discharge or public way. Intumescent fire-resistant coatings, thin film liquid mixture applied to substrates by brush, roller, spray, or trowel, which expands into a protective foamed layer to provide fire-resistant protection of the substrates when exposed to flame or intense heat. Jurisdiction, the governmental unit that has adopted this code under due legislative authority. L rating, the air leakage rating of a through-penetration fire stop system or a fire-resistant joint system when tested in accordance with UL 1479 or UL 2079 respectively. Light frame construction, a type of construction whose vertical and horizontal structural elements are primarily formed by a system of repetitive wood or cold frame steel framing members. Listed, equipment, materials, products, or services included in a list published by an organization acceptable to the building official and concerned with evaluation of products or services that maintains periodic inspection of production of listed equipment or materials or periodic evaluation of services, and whose listing states either that the equipment, material, product, or service meets identified standards or has been tested and found suitable for a specific use. Live load, a load produced by the use and occupancy of the building or other structure that does not include construction or environmental loads such as wind load, snow load, rain load, earthquake load, flood load, or dead load. Lot line, a line dividing one lot from another, or from one street or any public place. Manual fire alarm box, a manually operated device used to initiate alarm signal. Means of egress, a continuous and unobstructed path of vertical and horizontal egress travel from any occupied portion of a building or structure to a public way. A means of egress consists of three separate and distinct parts: the exit access, the exit, and the exit discharge. Medical care, care involving medical or surgical procedures, nursing, or for psychiatric purposes. Membrane protection, a breach in one side of a floor ceiling, roof ceiling, or wall assembly to accommodate an item installed into or passing through the breach. Mezzanine, an intermediate level or levels between the floor and ceiling of any story and in accordance with Section 505. Micropile. A micropile is a board, grouted-in-place deep foundation element that develops its load-carrying capacity by means of a bond zoned in soil, bedrock, or a combination of soil and bedrock. Naturally durable wood. The heartwood of the following species, except for the occasional piece with corner sapwood, provided 90% or more of the width of each side on which it occurs is heartwood. Decay resistant. Redwood, cedar, black locust, and black walnut. Termite resistant. Redwood, Alaska yellow cedar, eastern red cedar, and western red cedar. Nominal size, lumber. The commercial size designation of width and depth in standard sawn lumber and glued laminated lumber grades, somewhat larger than the standard net size of dressed lumber, in accordance with DOCPS 20 for sawn lumber and with the AWC NDS for glued laminated lumber. Nursing homes. Facilities that provide care, including both intermediate care facilities and skilled nursing facilities, where any of the persons are incapable of self-preservation. Occupant load. The number of persons for which the means of egress of a building or portion thereof is designed. Open parking garage. A structure or portion of a structure with the openings as described in Section 406.5.2 on 2 or more sides that is used for the parking or storage of private motor vehicles as described in Section 406.5.3. Panic hardware. A door latching assembly incorporating a device that releases the latch upon the application of a force in the direction of egress travel. See fire exit hardware. Particle board. A generic term for a panel primarily composed of cellulosic materials, usually wood, generally in the form of discrete pieces or particles as distinguished from fibers. The cellulosic material is combined with synthetic resin or other suitable bonding system by a process in which the interparticle bond is created by the bonding system under heat and pressure. Penetration firestop. A through penetration firestop or a membrane penetration firestop. Penthouse. An enclosed, unoccupied rooftop structure used for sheltering mechanical and electrical equipment, tanks, elevators, and related machinery, and vertical shaft openings. Permit. An official document or certificate issued by the building official that authorizes performance of a specified activity. Platform. A raised area within a building used for worship, the presentation of music, plays, or other entertainment, the head table for special guests, the raised area for lectures and speakers, boxing and wrestling rings, theater in the round stages, and similar purposes wherein, other than horizontal sliding curtains, there are no overhead hanging curtains, drops, scenery, or stage effects other than the lighting and sound. A temporary platform is one installed for not more than 30 days. Primary structural frame. The primary structural frame shall include all of the following structural members. 1. The columns. 2. Structural members having direct connections to the column, including girders, beams, trusses, and spandrels. 3. Members of the floor construction and roof construction having direct connection to the columns. 4. Bracing members that are essential to the vertical stability of the primary structural frame under gravity loading shall be considered part of the primary structural frame, whether or not the bracing member carries gravity loads. Proscenium wall. A wall that separates the stage from the auditorium or assembly seating area. Public way. A street, alley, or other parcel of land open to the outside air leading to a street that has been deeded, dedicated, or otherwise permanently appropriated to the public for public use, and which has a clear width and height of not less than 10 feet, 3,048 millimeters. Ramp. A walking surface that has a running slope steeper than 1 unit vertical in 20 units horizontal, 5% slope. Record drawings. Drawings, as built, that document the location of all devices, appliances, wiring sequences, wiring methods, and connections of the components of a fire alarm system as installed. Registered design professional. An individual who is registered or licensed to practice their respective design profession as defined by the statutory requirements of the professional registration laws of the state or jurisdiction in which the project is to be constructed. Risk category. A categorization of buildings and other structures for determination of flood, wind, snow, ice, and earthquake loads based on the risk associated with unacceptable performance. Roof covering. A covering applied to the roof deck for weather resistance, fire classification, or appearance. Roof ventilation. The natural or mechanical process of supplying conditioned or unconditioned air to or removing such air from attics, cathedral ceilings, or other enclosed spaces over which a roof assembly is installed. Secondary members. The following structural members shall be considered secondary members and not part of their primary structural frame. 1. Structural members not having direct connections to the columns. 2. Members of the floor construction and roof construction not having direct connections to the columns. 3. Bracing members other than those that are part of the primary structural frame. Seismic design category. A classification assigned to a structure based on its risk category and the severity of the design earthquake ground motion at the site. Self-closing. As applied to a fire door or other opening protective means equipped with a device that will ensure closing after having been opened. Shaft. An enclosed space extending through one or more stories of a building, connecting vertical openings in successive floors, or floors and roof. Shaft enclosure. The walls or construction forming the boundaries of a shaft. Shallow foundation. A shallow foundation is an individual or strip footing, a mat foundation, a slab-on-grade foundation, or a similar foundation element. Site. A parcel of land bounded by a lot line or a designated portion of a public right-of-way. Skylight unit. A factory-assembled glazed fenestration unit containing one panel of glazing material that allows for natural lighting through an opening in the roof assembly while preserving the weather-resistant barrier of the roof. Sleeping unit. A room or space in which people sleep, which can also include permanent provisions for living, eating, and other sanitation, or kitchen facilities but not both. Such rooms and spaces that are also part of a dwelling unit are not sleeping units. Smoke alarm. A single or multiple station alarm responsive to smoke. See multiple station smoke alarm and single station smoke alarm. Smoke barrier. A continuous membrane, either vertical or horizontal, such as a wall, floor, or ceiling assembly, that is designed and constructed to restrict the movement of smoke. Smoke compartment. A space within a building enclosed by smoke barriers on all sides, including the top and the bottom. Smoke damper. A listed device installed in ducts and air transfer openings, designed to resist the passage of smoke. The device is installed to operate automatically, controlled by a smoke detection system, and where required, is capable of being positioned from a fire command center. Smoke detector. A listed device that senses visible or invisible particles of combustion. Smoke developed index. A comparative measure, expressed as a dimensionless number, derived from measurements of smoke obscuration versus time for a material tested in accordance with ASTM E84. Smoke-proof enclosure. An exit stairway designed and constructed so that the movement of the products of combustion produced by a fire occurring in any part of the building into the enclosure is limited. Special inspection. Inspection of construction, requiring the expertise of an approved special inspector in order to ensure compliance with this code and the approved construction documents. Continuous special inspection. Special inspection by the special inspector, who is present when and where the work to be inspected is being performed. Periodic special inspection. Special inspection by the special inspector, who is intermittently present where the work to be inspected has been or is being performed. Special inspector. A qualified person employed or retained by an approved agency and approved by the building official as having the competence necessary to inspect a particular type of construction requiring special inspection. Sprayed fire-resistant materials. Cementitious or fibrous materials that are sprayed to provide fire-resistant protection of the substrates. Stage. A space within a building utilized for entertainment or presentations, which includes overhead hanging curtains, drops, scenery, or stage effects other than lighting and sound. Stair. A change in elevation consisting of one or more risers. Stairway. One or more flights of stairs, either exterior or interior, with the necessary landings and platforms connecting them, to form a continuous and uninterrupted passage from one level to another. Standby power system, a source of automatic electric power of a required capacity and duration to operate required building, hazardous materials, or ventilation systems in the event of a failure of the primary power. Standby power systems are required for electrical loads where interruption of the primary power could create hazards or hamper rescue or firefighting operations. Standpipe types of. Standpipe types are as follows. Automatic dry, a dry standpipe system normally filled with pressurized air that is arranged through the use of a device, such as dry pipe valve, to admit water into the system, piping automatically upon the opening of a hose valve. The water supply for an automatic dry standpipe system shall be capable of supplying the system demand. Automatic wet, a wet standpipe system that has a water supply that is capable of supplying the system demand automatically. Manual dry, a dry standpipe system that does not have a permanent water supply attached to the system. Manual dry standpipe systems require water from a fire department pumper to be pumped into the system through the fire department connection in order to meet the system demand. Manual wet, a wet standpipe system connected to a water supply for the purpose of maintaining water within the system, but does not have a water supply capable of delivering the system demand attached to the system. Manual wet standpipe systems require water from a fire department pumper or the like to be pumped into the system in order to meet the system demand. Semi-automatic dry, a dry standpipe system that is arranged through the use of a device, such as a deluge valve, to admit water into the system, piping upon activation of a remote control device located at a hose connection. A remote control activation device shall be provided at each hose connection. The water supply for a semi-automatic dry standpipe system shall be capable of supplying the system demand. Story above grade plane. Any story having its finished floor surface entirely above grade plane, or in which the finished surface of the floor next above is 1. More than 6 feet, 1,829 millimeters above grade plane, or 2. More than 12 feet, 3,658 millimeters above the finished ground level at any point. Structural glued laminated timber, an engineered, stress-rated product of a timber laminating plant, comprised of assemblies of specially selected and prepared wood laminations, in which the grain of all laminations is approximately parallel longitudinally, and the laminations are bonded with adhesives. T-rating, the time period that the penetration fire stop system, including the penetrating item, limits the maximum temperature rise to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, 163 degrees Celsius, above its initial temperature through the penetration of the non-fire side when tested in accordance with ASTM E814 or UL 1479. Through penetration, a breach in both sides of a floor, floor ceiling, or wall assembly to accommodate an item passing through the breaches. Through penetration fire stop system, an assemblage consisting of a fire-resistant rated floor, floor ceiling, or wall assembly, one or more penetrating items passing through the breaches in both sides of the assembly, and the materials or devices, or both, installed to resist the spread of fire through the assembly for a prescribed period of time. Transient, occupancy of a dwelling unit or sleeping unit for not more than 30 days. Treated wood, wood products that are conditioned to enhance fire retardant or preservative properties. Fire retardant treated wood, wood products that, when impregnated with chemicals by a pressure process or other means during manufacture, exhibit reduced surface burning characteristics and resist propagation of fire. Preservative-treated wood, wood products that, conditioned with chemicals by a pressure process or other means, exhibit reduced susceptibility to damage by fungi, insects, or marine borers. Veneer, a facing attached to a wall for the purpose of providing ornamentation, protection, or insulation, but not counted as adding strength to the wall. Ventilation, the natural or mechanical process of supplying conditioned or unconditioned air to, or removing such air from, any space. Thank you for taking the time to learn with all things inspectors learning modules.